Hello and welcome to the first ever episode of the ASA Insights podcast.
We are so excited to get started. I'm Lydia.
I'm Dominic.
And we're your co-hosts.
So let's introduce you to our first guest here. Would you guys like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hello. My name's Annie. I'm the ASA president.
Hi, my name is Prince. I'm the ASA Vice President.
Perfect.
So let's kind of get started off here with kind of recapping what happened at the meeting.
Yeah.
Just kind of starting off the top and what you kind of thought of the whole thing. Let's start with our kind of opening with the new SOFIA requirements that are going on. How do you guys kind of feel about this system, and what do you think about the idea of new competencies?
Yeah, I was only recently made aware of this, so it's still kind of new to me. But from what I've understood, just from what I could see in the Senate, there were some really good questions asked by senators about how this will impact me as a current student following the Sophia Flex program. And I think Dr. Rude, Dr. Gierak, the chairs of the Undergraduate Curriculum Council did a really good job of kind of navigating through those questions and reassuring students that they'll still be beholden to the Sophia Flex requirements, that this won't impact them. I think as a whole, this new program kind of solidifies some of the principles that are already in place in Sophia Flex. They just make it more concrete. So, for example, the competencies or requirements for doing a capstone project or upper level writing intensive courses, stuff like that. That's already baked into the Sophia Flex program. But when it comes to like capstones, study abroad, internship experiences, those aren't necessarily required for Sophia, but a lot of students tend to do that. Yeah. So I think this is a good way of ensuring that students get credit for some of those experiences that they partake in a more efficient, standardized way.
Yeah, I think in some ways we were already moving towards that direction because last year, and this is especially from international perspective, we international students, whenever we work outside, we have started getting credits for our off-campus work as a practical training. So that being incorporated into Sophia, I think creates less confusion now because it was already there. We were moving in that direction, and now it's more like compiled into one particular curriculum. So that would help prevent these confusions some students have. Like, let's say you go into your senior year and you are unsure if you have met all the requirements, but now it's more straightforward to you that you take this in your first year, this in your middle years, and this in your final year. That creates like less confusion. So it was actually impressive to see the new senators itself coming with a lot of critical questions and researching prior hand itself. So yeah, that's good.
Yeah, on the like new senators and especially like the freshman ones, I was really impressed with their ability to speak up and their ability to actually say stuff. I know Egan was one that we had talked about before who like really just got in there on a few questions and was like talking. I was really shocked by the ability because I know I was not like that the first meeting as well.
Yeah, I think it kind of speaks to, we're going to pat ourselves on the back. We're so used to being humble, but I think Vince and I did a decent job of kind of simplifying ASA because when my freshman year, you guys probably felt the same way too. Robert's rules and procedural rules are very overwhelming and they're stressful and they're complicated. But being able to break that down in a simple way is really challenging. But with the help of our exec board, I think we did a decent job. There's always room for improvement, but hopefully that allows first year senators to kind of partake in some of these discussions that are being had, especially with our curriculum council and new changes coming up. So it's really great to see some of those questions.
I really loved the first meeting personally. I loved the energy that everybody brought.
Yeah.
Even like throughout like going back to Robert's rules, I know like I thought we did a pretty good job following it and I loved just Prince kind of just leading that and making sure everyone did follow it, which is something maybe not happened all the time last year. So I loved that we're kind of just practicing and just getting into the rhythm from the start, just leading up to greater full Senate meetings.
Yeah, thanks for saying that. Because there were errors that I made in between.
Yeah, it's okay.
And I think that would improve eventually as we move on to the new meetings. It's not only me, but I also think it's the senators who took it and digested everything in the first meeting itself. So I can see the meetings being more efficient and more productive.
More productive.
I was shocked at how quickly we got
Yeah,
through a lot of stuff because that was a full list for our first meeting.
done exactly
And
in two
done
hours.
exactly in 2 hours. So I know
Yes.
I was impressed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was great.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on. We'll just talk about the code of ethics.
Mhm.
How did this like new ethics and conduct governing document just come together?
Yeah, so it was initially started last year with Laura Teller, Henry Sule, his administration. They had kind of put this on to inform Prince and I of this code of ethics and conduct that Henry and Lauren were both working on. Prince and I were both very receptive to the idea, as evidenced by the fact that we're continuing to work on it and
Yeah.
hopefully propose it to a future Senate meeting. Um, it was started by them and we saw the importance in it and we wanted to keep working on it because we believe in the value of it.
Yeah, even other school and their student body governments, they have their code of ethics and conduct.
Mhm.
And not only is the student body governments, but if we compare the real governments and the legislative bodies in the world, they do have their own ethics and code of conduct. This was something that they could have passed last year, but I think that speaks to their commitment to a democratic system that the new Senate was already elected, and it's up to the new administration and the new Senate to decide on whether to approve this or not. So now it's up for the consideration, and yeah, it's up to the Senate on how they want to proceed with it.
Figuring that this is going to be something that is presented to us within this year, why do you think we need one? Like, what kind of
Yeah,
embodies you to kind of let's put this out here, let's set out these rules and conduct for how
yeah.
our government officials and us should react and how we should do stuff.
I can.
Yeah, or you need
Well, like Prince had previous mentioned, a lot of legislative bodies have code of ethics and conduct to kind of standardize the process to ensure that if there are instances of alleged violations, whether that relates to integrity, how you present yourself in meetings, whether or not you're abiding by the rules, that there's a streamlined process that we can consult. That's a democratic way of ensuring that everyone's afforded their rights and responsibilities during a trial. And being able to hold everyone accountable, just as we hold ourselves accountable to the Senate and to the student body, and recognizing that senators aren't just alone, they are representing their constituents. So if there are violations of this, it allows us to do a more standardized way of pursuing action.
and excluding ourselves, there are 28 individuals who engage in discussions. And those discussions, because there are no bad ideas, like
Yeah.
every ideas are creative. It's just that how critically we approach with it. And with those debates and discussions, it could get passionate sometimes. The words we use, our body language and everything. So we just wanted to have this kind of an expectation amongst everybody on how you should behave, because it's okay to be passionate, but
Yeah. Yeah.
approach that in a civil manner. And this document is just that outline of the expectations that everyone should follow.
If this were to get implemented into ASA, what could the Augustana community, our students, our peers, how could that affect them?
Well, for one, it makes it a little bit more clear for constituents wise on what they should expect of their representatives. I imagine already that a lot of students kind of maybe are familiar with who's representing them from each of their respective classes. But it also kind of reminds them that, hey, this is the principles that ASA is founded on. These are the principles that are also extended to senators when they're installed into the ASA, when they successfully win their elections. These are the values that we hold near and dear to our heart that guide us on our mission, that keep us grounded. And this is what you should expect of your senators to be doing. So it kind of allows a way for the Augustana community to keep all of those individuals accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have anything to add more than that. It's just a more clear way to inform the senators that this is why you have been elected and this is what is expected of you. Um, so yeah, not more to add.
Um,
It's
Yeah.
so exciting.
I think your question was when we expect to implement this or something.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
final thing we are going to get to. When can the Augustana community and our constituents expect this to be implemented to keep their senators like accountable and kind of held up to this?
Well, last Senate meeting was when we had this on our agenda. It was for mostly discussion part. If any senators had any other things to contribute to this document, which we didn't really see that. So it means that it's mostly like agreed upon. In the next meeting, we might have it for voting. We will be running this through our committee chairs first and the cabinet and take their input. And hopefully, if everything is fine, this will be voted on in the next Senate and then it will be implemented.
Yeah. We'd like to see a little bit more substantive dialogue on this. I think hopefully everyone kind of skimmed it over before the first meeting. There was a lot on that agenda, so I don't blame anyone if they didn't. But it's important to Prince and I, but also to future administrations too, that there is a healthy amount of feedback provided for this document, considering that we want it to be a long-term thing, a permanent thing. So we want to make sure that we get all the feedback we possibly can to make this a very constructive, well-rounded document. So
Yeah. Yep. I mean, as senators too, I think it's important. I think it's important to hold each other accountable. I think this would do great for our Senate.
yeah.
Okay. So at the meeting, we got some really cool clubs coming in. Personally, I'm really excited for all of the clubs that got approved. We approved the social work club, the sociology club, and the pre-genic club. And I am so excited. Like I said in the meeting, I am a sociology minor, and I thought it was really just great that we now have a club on campus
Yeah.
towards that, just for people to connect. But I thought all of those clubs were super fun and super great.
Yeah.
All those clubs that you mentioned are related to an academic program.
Yeah.
And I can certainly, and I can confidently say that these are good clubs. Me myself being a person who founded a club in my freshman year, and that was pretty much a journey that I'd envisioned for myself, that I would be
Yeah.
outside of ASA, in student organizations for all of my 3 years here, and then just continue what I was doing, but things changed in between. But it's all about creativity of students, and these clubs are related to the academic programs. We will certainly see the rise of such kind of clubs because Viking Bold itself says we'll be adding numerous academic programs and offerings at Augustana. So as these grow, we will certainly see the rise in clubs as well. These are good avenues for students for outside classroom engagement and for experiential learning as well. A lot of times I have seen myself finding internships or off-campus jobs through these clubs. Apart from Student Success Center. So these are the places where we get those outside engagements from classroom, and certainly a best place where we can make the most out of what we are being educated about. About how we feel politically about these clubs, that is a comment that we keep to ourselves because as ASA president, vice president, we certainly don't comment about these clubs and these student organizations as these are autonomous bodies somewhat related to ASA, but really outside ASA about what their constitution says and everything. It's really up to the student leaders themselves and the organizations about how they want to proceed with it. So, what I could say, like, very exciting, and we encourage the student body to come up with more creative ideas to make this a more vibrant and welcoming community for everybody.
Look at that.
Yeah, I know I'm really excited to see what events they can host on and stuff. I mean, I feel just even like a simple like pizza party for some of these
Yeah.
clubs, you just know people goes a long way and just
Yeah.
like there's been so many study sessions from these clubs for midterms coming up.
Yeah.
Just being able to go to any of them and be like, oh, hey, we're gonna provide you some like food or something to help you study. I mean,
You can
that's
find your
really
friends,
Yeah.
some new people, and make new connections through this club. So, yeah, it's pretty exciting.
great. Now on to some of the kind of more money focused ones here. The repealment of the solar panel project that was started by a past senator, what was that 2 or 3 years ago?
2 years.
2 years
Yeah. Basically, how, from you guys know, how did this project begin 2, 3 years ago? Kind of starting with that.
Yeah, so 2 years ago, I should say 2 administrations ago, We had a very passionate senator who was pursuing sustainability ideas around campus. He had successfully secured external grants and funding from outside sources to get solar panels onto campus. This was an idea that he had worked on tirelessly for a while. Had received a lot of a lot of due diligence was put into this, and being on the Senate during that time, hearing the updates from the senator and from various other stakeholders that were involved with the solar panels project, we were all super excited for it. Um, Unfortunately, it kind of got put on hold after the project itself became too expensive. There was a lot of logistical complications, and a lot of companies that had previously expressed interest in putting the solar panels on campus from the FSC had backed out to a number of reasons. Um, Last year's administration had kept trying to pursue this to keep it alive to the best of their ability, even though there were just barriers at every single turn. So we had to do something about it this year in order to make sure that $15,000 that was approved from ASA funding, not the external other grants, that was being put towards other projects similar to the ones that the senator was working on. So it was really unfortunate. We weren't excited to do this just because we were so invested in this idea, in this project, and all the work that the senator had put in. But we, at the end of the day, had to make a tough decision and ultimately reclaim that money back for the Senate to do other super cool projects too. Yeah.
Yeah, I would add some layer to that. I did reading of the resolution 1047, which was passed. It said, and that time, the treasurer had mentioned in the meeting that this was a project which the ASA wanted to pursue even 5 to 6 years prior to that, something of this kind. But there was never money available. And that particular year, 2022-23, was right after COVID when you had huge surplus. And then it seemed viable for ASA to pursue this project. And it was eventually approved as well. Last year's administration worked all the way to the end to bring this to reality. And even ourselves as well. When we were campaigning, it was our priority to continue with this project. But in summer, when we had this round with stakeholders across campus, we were informed that this could no longer move forward because of all those logistical complications, which Annie just mentioned. So it's unfortunate, but we know that we have this money back and this can be used on similar sort of projects and all those creative ideas that we will be pursuing in the next few months.
Yeah. I think if we had more of the funds or if this is more feasible, it would be such a vital project for campus.
It really could.
It's unfortunate though, but I mean, it is a hard decision, but it probably was the right decision. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, Prince. You said like we can utilize this in other areas on campus. Do you guys have anything in mind where this money, like we're taking back, we can put into campus?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the 15,000 was approved for a sustainability focused project doesn't mean that 15,000 is necessarily limited to that type of focus, but it would be pretty cool for the Senate. Prince and I both are running on a platform right now with sustainability too as one of our goals. To be able to use this money towards a similar project that's sustainability focused. Don't have any particular ideas in mind. That's where senators like play. But yeah, I think we have more flexibility now with some hopefully
Some
long-term
discretionary.
projects that will be put into place that have an impact on our community. Yeah.
Yeah. It will be up to the Senate to decide on where this funding goes. But I would say this, that there's a lot of demand from stakeholders and departments outside of ASA on the projects that they want to see come to a reality on campus. So it would also be an encouragement from our side to the senators to help these departments who are passionate about pursuing something on campus and this money be spent responsibly.
Alrighty, now on to our kind of final topic here, your guys' strategic plan. So, this was a first of its kind in the modern day of ASA. The senators are kind of like Congress, just giving you the money to do
Yeah.
what you want with it. Um, Kind of just like dive into that first a little bit. Like, how did this come about? And just want to explain your project a little bit.
Yeah, so strategic plan, every one requirement that's listed of the ASA president, vice president is that they present their list of priorities and goals to the Senate at a very early meeting so that the Senate is aware about it. It does not say, however, that the president, vice president need to get approval for a transfer of funding for these priorities from the Senate. Prince and I are both committed to transparency and accountability with the Senate, and we thought it was instrumental that we present our plan to the Senate in addition to a vote on whether or not we could transfer the $6,000 to the exec fund, just so that senators could be aware of how this money will be spent. What are our goals? What are the projects that we have outlined that we plan on tackling this year? So it was important for Prince and I to present this to the Senate to get that type of feedback and just hear from senators about this. So
Yeah, I think it's Augie's liberal arts coming into play here. Both of us are government majors, and we know how this
Yeah.
whole government thing works. I think in the past, exec and Senate, they worked cooperatively, and there was no such thing as the exec asking for money from the Senate. But that also led to some negative practices or some irregularities. I don't see any irregularities happening, but if this was to continue, then we could certainly have something like that in the future where exec would not be transparent enough because
Yeah.
this would make it vulnerable towards such practices. And for us, it was just important for the Senate to know what we are spending in and how much would the amount be, give an expectation to the senators because if we are asking the student organizations to appear in the Senate to request the fund for their organizations, if we are asking the senators to present a resolution and seek approval for the Senate for the transfer of the funds
Yeah.
for their projects, I think us as well, it's important. Um, and just going back to the things that we learned in government, exec and Senate, these are two different bodies. And it's really important that we have that separation of powers. So that is that is why we asked for the $6,000 transfer, just to maintain that, accountability and the senators can keep holding us accountable in the future as well. And moving to a question on how this came to place, past 3 months or 4 months, we spent a long time checking in with a lot of stakeholders across campus, over 30 stakeholders. And our forward of the plan itself says that this is a collective vision, a collaboration of ideas that reflect the hopes and aspirations of the community. So this is a compilation of everything that we took from our meetings with stakeholders and what they are hoping for the campus. And hopefully the 6,000 would be enough. If not, then again, the practice is now set, the president is now set. We'll be coming back to the Senate and asking for more money. And yeah, we are starting this soon to implement and bring this to reality.
Do you guys have anything you're allowed to share what you want to bring? If you're not, that's okay. But if you are able to share,
like certain projects.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have a
9 page
we have a
document.
9-page document outlining everything that has some concrete plans that we are going to pursue. We've already kind of tackled some of these initiatives with so we're running on 4 different platforms: Innovate at AU, revamping the Viking community spirit, sustainability and practices.
And enduring commitments.
Yes.
We ran on the fourth platform was transparency when we campaigned, but then that sort of falls into some commitments that we make as an administration, as a say. So we just broadened the fourth goal, and that covers things like transparency, student well-being, diversity and inclusion, and all of these commitments which Augustine and ASA has been making for the past years.
Yeah.
In these 4, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're already starting to tackle some of them. We had a event with the IPO last night about the election programming series that the university is running. Prince and I were both a part of this election university task force, and we really were passionate about getting that international student perspective on some of these events, which previously we didn't really see much of. And we know that international students make up a substantial portion of our population. Vice President. So we wanted to make sure that they were included in these conversations because, United States politics have a spillover effect onto foreign countries, and we know, yeah. But yeah, so we just wanted to make sure that our international students felt safe, that they had these opportunities to ask questions, to not be able to be afraid to do so, because it is a stressful time for everyone. So we wanted to provide some outlets for our international students to alleviate some of that stress and get their questions answered. We also have been working on transportation too. So this has kind of been a burden that the exec has shouldered for the last 5 years. And there's always been different ways of looking at transportation, different alternatives that the Senate has tirelessly explored over the past 4 years. And so Prince and I have both really worked with the city of Sioux Falls to create a hybrid transportation program, which is part of our platform that we ran on to hopefully alleviate some of that financial burden on ASA while still providing students with the same amount of opportunity for public transportation to get around Sioux Falls. Yeah.
I would add something about revamping the community spirit because I think out of that 6,000, a lot of money will be spent in this particular, the second goal. We know after COVID, and both of us, all of us, like all four of us,
Yeah.
and not anyone in this campus was here
Yeah.
prior to COVID. There might be some
Yeah.
who are pursuing their graduate degrees now, but the campus was something else before COVID.
Sure.
After COVID, we saw engagement going down, some sort of anxiety and stress that students have not been able to recover since COVID. It's a financial burden and everything, which has direct impact in the community spirit that Augustana used to have.
Mhm.
We lost a lot of creative projects, some bigger events that the campus used to hold. And now, 3 years or 4 years after COVID, we are in the position, a favorable position actually, to revamp that spirit. We have had the largest enrollment this year, and we are seeing engagement rising overall with our student organization, tier ones, and everybody. And that is a promising sign for us to move forward with our second goal. And I would say it is our priority to bring back the same spirit in those projects that we had, which we projects and ideas and all those initiatives and events, which we had lost 4 years ago. So we are working tirelessly on that. And it would be a collaboration between all of the student organizations and the departments to move to that direction. And given that 2 months are almost over, it's mid-October already. We'll have one more week.
Gosh.
We are in a very good position and heading towards the right direction.
Yeah.
It's honestly just so exciting to hear. I love how passionate you guys are about this. Reading through this at the meeting too and looking over through the docs, like it just makes me so happy knowing that you guys, like your administration, like you guys know what you want and you guys already have a plan. It just makes me so happy. Yeah.
We love strategic plans.
Good.
Alrighty. Well, do you guys have anything else you wanna add here?
Not really. We're just both incredibly fortunate to be here today, to be one of the first guests on the podcast. It's so exciting. And we're just, super fortunate every day to be in the positions that we are and to be able to listen and learn from all the wonderful people that are here that call Augustana home.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a great thing.
Yeah, thank you to you guys for bringing this project to reality. This was envisioned
Yeah.
3 years ago by Henry Soule, passed on to me.
Yeah.
It was just named during my time, and now it comes to reality. It's so
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
It has been an honor for both of us to be in this position because my friends, they ask me like, "Oh, you are so busy. We see you going here and there, and you don't have time at all." But when we really see like, yeah, we're busy, but mostly we're meeting people, and then we're meeting new people. That has been the great highlight of this journey so far, and there's been a great platform to learn from not only the president and the previous people, but also from you guys who bring unique ideas to the table. So yeah, thank you to everybody.
Well, thank you
Yeah,
guys
thank you
for
for coming.
being here and filming this with us. It truly wanted you guys as our first guests, obviously,
Yeah.
just to kind of get your plan on everything. But
Thank you guys.
thank you guys for watching.
Tune in 2 weeks.
We'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.